There it is.
Yeah, and we're ready to go. We're going to have an exciting show today. We got David online with us. Hi, my name is Roy Canterbury. I'm going to be host today on Archery Talk 101. And like always, we're going to talk archery today. And just want to let everybody know that we do go live in the Archery Talk 101 Facebook group. And you can communicate with us if you'd like to. So join that group if you're not a member. And there's a lot of good benefits of being in there. So David, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, Roy, and thanks for having me.
So introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you do. And
All right. Well, my name is David Schneider. I've been pretty much a lifelong archery hunter, shooter, enthusiast, if you will, aficionado at times, but newbie at other times, but I'm always learning. But no, I started archery like most kids did when they were little, with the little red fiberglass bow, and that my dad had picked me up somewhere or another until, I was losing arrows every other day, and he was, then finally you get to making your own arrows because he's tired of buying them, kind of thing.
right.
So that's kind of where it all started with me. Progressed up until, obviously my teenage years, hung with me. Got my brother-in-law was a traditional archery guy, and he had the old bear bows and this, that, and the other thing, and so he really introduced me to my love of archery. Don't get me wrong, I liked it, but it took on a horse of a different color when he started showing me, when he opened up my mind to what is all out there, as far as hunting with the bow and so on and so forth. So then obviously I hunted. I'm very, very into hunting. I've kind of stepped away from that the last few years, but I'm getting back in it casually, and I'll explain why. Got a couple boys. One of my boys started bass fishing competitively in middle school, and that my oldest son, and he ended up getting a NCAA scholarship for bass fishing. So when he started bass fishing, I'd had some hobbies on the table. I used to be into squirrel dogs, mountain cur dogs, where I would go hunt and travel around and take my dogs to these different competitions. Was fortunate enough to own a couple world champions and did really well in that sport. While still in the background, always had my love for traditional archery, and still did plenty of shooting, hunted every deer season with a longbow or recurve. But when my son started really getting into bass fishing, and obviously I'd fished since I was a kid as well, but not competitively, I just kind of shifted gears, and it became less about me and more about him. And I started following and doing what he was doing. And before you know it, I got a bass boat. And before you know it, I'm going to bass fishing tournament. Before you know it, so I took a step back from traditional archery, from archery in general. He stepped up to the plate, and he started hunting and fishing, and he was hunting, obviously. So I was hunting, but with him, but the focus was him, and I derived more. It meant more for him to harvest an animal than myself. So that was my new thing. So time's passed. He's out of college now. He graduated, and he's in the workforce, and he is engaged and all that. And where does that leave me? So a couple of years ago, he's been out for a few years, Roy. So where does that leave me? So I made the decision I happened to be in the basement one day, and I looked over in the corner, and there was a stack of bows. I'm a bow hoarder. And so I started thinking about it, and then it just, I don't know, everything fell in line. A buddy of mine had pulled in the driveway. He went down to Nixon, Missouri, and he had got him a brand new Black Widow recurve, and he'd pulled in the driveway, and he said, "Hey, look at this bow that I got." And I was like, here I hadn't shot for, 10 years. And I grabbed that thing. He said, "Shoot it." Well, I had a target or two out in the yard because of obviously my son right. still shot. And he shot a compound nonetheless, but he was still an archer. So I grabbed that thing and I shot it at one of those targets. And, I thought I was the ghost of Howard Hill or something. I stuck a really tight group in that target, and I thought man, all that time off and I didn't lose a thing, you know. So obviously the bug, that wasn't the case later on, and a lot of practice to get back in. But
Yeah.
anyway, long story short, that pulled me right back in. That pulled me right back into the hobby.
Yeah.
Sport.
Yeah. Well, I think your son is in the group, and because he said, proud of you, Dad.
Did he really? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, good. I'm proud of you, Hunter. Proud of you. But yeah, so that's what I did, Roy. And I tell you what, I've always been, I don't know about you. You kind of strike me this way. I'm all or nothing. You know, I'm kind of an all in, baptized by fire kind of guy. So I had been out of traditional archery or archery altogether for about a decade, you know, following my son around and living vicariously through his accomplishments, so to speak. But anyway, some clubs that were around us, some 3D bow clubs that were around us, and we didn't have many, but we had a few. You know, you could get to a 3D archery club within driving distance. They had kind of dried up. One big club had quit having shoots. One traditional club quit having shoots altogether and just kind of quit. Another one kind of quit. And I started looking around, and we still had the Indiana Traditional Bow Hunters Association. There was a real good club, Katiwi, the Indiana or the Hoosier Traditional Bow Hunters. But that was about 2.5 hours, 3 hours away. So I was thinking, I'm in Southeast Indiana, so there was nothing around me. So I started talking to a few buddies of mine, and the Lord had blessed me with enough land to stick a few foam targets on. And I said, hey, what do you guys think if we start our own club? I mean, how hard can it be? Man, I bit off more than I could chew by saying that, because there is a lot of work to it. But next thing you know, I'm investing in foam and procuring some Reinhardt targets, getting all that together. And I started the Whiskey City Traditional Archers. Last year was our first year. We had about 140 members our first year.
Oh, that's good.
Just overwhelmed. We have anywhere from 60 to 70 shooters a month at each shoot. And we're growing. It looks like we're going to surpass that in membership this year. And not only that, we're getting plenty of members from other states that are sending in memberships, and people that hasn't even stepped a foot on our property or course or whatever. So that's inspiring as well. And, as a club, you're only as good as your member base. And I'm just the guy that sets up targets. Me and Justin Jump, a very dear friend of mine, we just set up targets and we try to make it interesting, but I can't take the credit for it. We have a great group of individuals that we've surrounded ourselves with and these members, and we're doing great. We're doing really good.
Yeah. When you can have a club and people are joining your club and don't even live in the area,
Right.
That's saying a lot, to have somebody be willing to do that.
Right. We have people drive 4 hours one way a guy named Jim Compliment, I got to throw his name out. We call him the Grumpy Archer. He's an older, he's the Grumpy Archer. He fell out of a deer stand, unfortunately, this last season, and banked himself up really good, broke his neck and everything else. But it hasn't stopped him. He was at Cloverdale Rendezvous. He comes to every shoot in a neck brace or whatever. He's there. He's just went down in bow weight. He's still trying to shoot that bow, but we all have 110% faith that he'll come back around and do what he loves to do. And that's shoot that bow and compete, on the 3D course with us and everything. But he drives, I don't know, like he's in Northern Indiana. He's like 2.5 hours to get there. He never misses a shoot. It's just really, it's humbling, if you will. When Justin and I put this thing together, we was happy if we'd get the same 15 shooters every month. And we've just been blessed. We, like I say, to have just a trad only bow club. I take that back. We are traditional only bow club. But we also allow the kids with the Genesis bows. Those things are 20 pounds. And I'm not gonna, if a kid wants to bring a Genesis bow, he or she is more than welcome to bring a Genesis bow. So, and that's pretty much the consensus of the club. So we do have some kids show up with those Genesis bows, and yeah, we just didn't expect it to grow like it has by the leaps and bounds that it has. So it's just been really humbling, really humbling.
Yeah, that's pretty good when you can get going that good. And there's other clubs out there that have done the same thing. And, it's just really amazing, how much, it takes off in certain areas. People are just looking for something to do. And
Yeah.
archery seems to fit the bill on a lot of them.
Oh, you're not kidding. I've got guys that come to this club that, sorry, this is not Roy. I quit dipping. I quit dipping. These are coffee grinds. It's called grinds. And I don't know if we can do that or not. You might have to blur that out. I don't want to get anybody in trouble. But long story short, I've not dipped now for about 8-9 months. So that's something. These are coffee grinds. But anyway,
get your coffee fix.
Yeah, get my coffee fixed. But anyway, yeah, we have a group of guys that come to every shoot, and they also go to all the surrounding shoots. And I'm talking, these guys go to two shoots through the week, a Monday night or a Wednesday nighter. They'll go somewhere on a Friday, they'll shoot on a Saturday, and it's like, that is their life's blood, man. I mean, they are, right, through the summer, through the spring, that's their reason for breathing, is 3D shoots. I mean, they love it. They love it. And it does keep them sharp for hunting season. These guys that I'm talking about, Roy, are just stone cold outdoorsmen. I mean, come hunting season, if they want to take it down, they take it down. And obviously they're in shooting shape to do so.
Right.
They've shot all summer, so yeah. But yeah, I have a respect for those guys, and yeah, they do a good job as well.
Yeah,
and
Trey made a comment, looking good, bud.
Oh yeah. I can't see those. Where are those coming up at? Oh, you're on the you're talking about the live.
Right. You'll have to go out to the Facebook group, and then you can see the comments coming out there. And
yeah, got it.
If you want to, and then you can comment back to them.
That's pretty cool, Roy. I'm telling you, I'm looking at all this, and you're pretty squared away. You've got all the bells and whistles here.
Well, and then too, one thing I do for someone, if they're talking about a product or something, I just bring it up on a website and I share the screen, and everybody can look at what we're talking at.
Right.
Now, those listening on a podcast, yeah, they don't get that, but they can always go back and join the archery group and see it, or wait for it to come out on the YouTube channel. And I've talked to some different companies and different events, and there's just a whole world out there that I didn't know it existed until I started doing this. And
right. Which unfortunately I didn't get to put it out. I wish I'd have put it out a little bit sooner. It's actually, I went to the Compton Traditional Rendezvous, Roy, up in Michigan, up in Berrien Springs, I think it is. And all these years of shooting trad bows and this and everything, that was the first time that I'd ever been there. And man, what a humbling experience yet again. I mean, those guys, you can tell why they're Compton, and you can tell that they're squared away. They've been there and done that. They put on a really good shoot, really good rendezvous. But having said that, I was there since, and I didn't get to, because I was there, I didn't get to promote the Archery Talk thing like I wanted to. I literally put this up five minutes ago, and I apologize to you, but yeah, I'm sure to get plenty of views after the fact. I'm sitting here looking, and I'm seeing that Trey is on there. Trey Baxter is the owner proprietor of the Saddle Cartel, and he's got a Facebook page and everything. And that's these saddle hunters, that hunt out of the saddle.
The saddles. Oh
yeah.
yeah.
And this guy is a
We'll
saddle
have to
hunting
get him on a
wizard.
podcast and get him on a podcast
Oh,
and
he's
talk about
great.
those.
Yeah. I'll definitely have him reach out. He's great, and he's doing some promotion now for the X team, which is a group of kids that are going to Vegas to shoot competitively. There, I think he's in Oklahoma through and he's got a fundraiser going for them. He's got a lot of big name companies on board supporting it, and he works hard, and he works hard outside of himself. He works hard for the sport of archery. So in my book, he's a-okay. But yeah. So I don't know where we left off. So got off track by looking at those comments.
Yeah, they kind of get sidetracked, but that's what it's about. Just chatting, and that's what we're here for. And one of the things that we haven't got into is why did you pick up a bow for the first time?
I'll tell you what, the progression was something like this, and I remember it. Single shot Daisy Rider or BB pellet BB gun,
right?
And shooting the blackbirds and whatnot. I mean, it's what it was. Because I was very young. I remember my dad lived on a farm. Grew up on a farm, and I come from the era where nobody was. I mean, we were on a farm. I had the woods. I had a creek to go find salamanders. There was no kids remotely my age around. It was me and my older sister, and I didn't like hanging out with her very much. She always used to beat me up, but no, I'm just, well, not really. But anyway, so we come from an era where we had to entertain ourselves. We had to entertain ourselves. So my father knew that I really liked that pellet gun or that BB gun. And, he was constantly buying me ammo for that. So he just bring me things from time to time. And then he brought home a slingshot. And then I shot the fire out of that thing. And then next thing you know, he brought home a bow, or he had found a bow. I don't think he bought it brand new, whether he picked it up at a yard sale. I have no idea where he even got the thing, but he handed me that with like 7-8 arrows. And, those arrows didn't last long. And then, we had to go down to the hardware store, and thankfully they sold some arrows. So he would occasionally get me some arrows, and then I would make my own arrows out of sticks and everything else. I'd shave them down. And I mean, they were crude, but I just remember that's how I got started. And I remember we had a barn across, a big old tobacco barn. They still hung tobacco in it. And it was a monster of a barn right across the road. And I'd go over and I'd sit in the hayloft, and I'd wait for mice to, every barn's got mice in it.
Oh, yeah.
And I'd shoot at mice, and totally instinctive. I didn't know no reference of aiming, no nothing, just and looking back in my mind, I was really good. I probably wasn't, but looking back in my mind, I could hit what I was looking at. But that's kind of where it started for me, until my brother-in-law kind of introduced me to what real bows were, and which was a number of years later. But I think I'd picked up like a Ben Pearson or a wing recurve or something like that. And I think I did get that at a flea market or something for like $5, and I shot a bunch of mismatched wood, aluminum, and fiberglass arrows off that thing for a while. And that's the bow that I harvested my first it wasn't my first deer kill. I'd harvested a deer with a shotgun, but that bow I harvested my first recurve, my first archery harvest was with that. I'm somewhere between, it was a wing bow or a Ben Pearson bow. I don't have it anymore. I wish I did, but I believe it was a Ben Pearson. And 35 pounds, man, 35 pounds, just your regular Dacron string,
Right.
Clamp on nocks, just as crude as can be, crude, with like I think what saved me is I think I had a fiberglass arrow with like a 190 grain broadhead on it. So this thing was like a boulder tied onto the end of a twig, right? And this doe had come walking by and gave me the right opportunity, quartered away. I remember it like it was yesterday. And it was about a 16-yard shot. And yeah, so she didn't go very far. And I remember for a 35-pound bow, didn't get complete pass through, Roy, but I mean, it came out the other side and it was a quick, clean, and ethical kill. And yeah, I remember it like it was yesterday. And that was the first of many, many deer to be harvested with. Every deer that I believe that I've harvested after that has always been with traditional equipment. I don't know that I've ever harvested another deer with a firearm. And I haven't, that I can recall. So every deer that I've ever harvested has been with a recurve. And I think I've harvested 2 with a long bow, but mostly with a recurve bow. And I've been fortunate. I've got a couple Pope and Young deer and, you know, a couple nice deer and just a number of deer. I don't know how many. I'm not one of those guys, but enough.
Yeah, I don't really keep track of how many.
I don't
know
either.
I think I've got, well, one time I got 2 deer within minutes of each other with my bow.
Nice.
And then I think I've only shot with a rifle 2 deer.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And my first deer was, you know, a small buck, but it was kind of a long shot. I was, 20 feet up in the tree, and it was about 40 yards away because I had to get above the brush to get to the trail.
Yeah.
I was out of the compound. I was shooting 52 pounds at a full length 21-17 arrow with, I think, probably 145 grain tip on it.
Nice.
And when that deer turned that arrow, I think the fletching stopped it from going all the way through. Yeah. You don't need a lot of weight if you have, you know, a decently heavy arrow. Now, if it'd been a real light one, like a 350 grain arrow, you may not have had that kind of penetration. It's just no mass. And
right. But that's the thing. I mean, you know, I came also, and I'm sure, Roy, did you ever shoot traditional? Did you ever shoot, like when you got started, was you shooting recurve or any stick bow, single string?
Well, when I got started, there was only recurve and longbows.
You had no choice. Yeah,
you had no choice. It's either wood or fiberglass, and you had your choice of wood options.
Right.
You know,
absolutely.
Well, I started in the 60s. Compounds didn't show up until the 70s.
Golly, man, you was in life. Just think, I mean, you was out there amongst it when Fred Bear was still out there hunting. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. And it's kind of with the pictures I've seen him hunting. He's got a plaid shirt and blue jeans.
Yeah,
that's how he hunted. You know, plaid shirt, blue jeans.
Absolutely how he hunted. And I mean, you know, believe it or not, you hear all these different things about what's traditional, what's not traditional, what's this, what's that. You know, Fred Bear, he had, you know, he understood. I mean, if I don't know, I'm getting off track, but if he was here today, he'd probably have a sight on his dang bow. I mean, they made them, you know, Bear Archery made sights to put onto recurves. Wilson Brothers made sights on the old Black Widow's bows. Ben Pearson, you look at all of them, they were right before, and I'm talking about right before compounds came on, they were all adaptive of a sighting system. You know, I remember, you know, I was a pure instinctive shooter. At least I thought it did. Since I've gotten back in, I've adopted like a gap shooting or like a split vision method of shooting. But, you know, I used to shoot 3D shoots pretty religiously. I got kind of upside down in it when I graduated from the Ben Pearson, you know, and then I got another bow, so on and so forth. I had a Black Swan that I liked a lot. I had a Hoyt that I liked a lot, recurve. But anyway, long story short, I started shooting a lot of, I'm kind of that way. I'm competitive in nature, I guess. And it's not because I want to win. And that's not what it is. I think it gives me a gauge, Roy, to see where I'm coming along in my journey compared to other people. You know what I mean? And the only way you can do, don't get me wrong, I'm competing against myself, right? But it kind of gives me a baseline for what's out there. So I no matter what I do, if I get into the tree dogs, I had to win the world. You know, if I got into slingshots, whatever's going on there, I'd have to find the best. You know, that's just how I am in nature. I'm a little bit competitive. So I shot a lot of 3D, and back then I was religiously shooting. I was just obsessed with it. Of course, I was a lot younger, a lot stronger, but I was shooting ridiculously heavy bows, like 65. I had a few 70-pound bows, and with no let off, just like broomsticks with a string, right? And I'd shoot 200-300 arrows a night, blind bail, three foot away from the target, just working on my release and my form. So I was pretty serious about it, but it was a whole different release and a whole different form back then. I was bent over it the way I've changed things quite a bit. But anyway, long story short, I was you'd see these other people that turn in these phenomenal scores. And I always thought, man, how are they doing that? I felt like I was at the top of my instinctive game. But, truth of the matter is they were probably gap shooters, or they were probably, fixed crawl people, or, they had a system of aiming, and even though that I was instinctive, and even you, when you shot, you may thought you were shooting instinctive, but your arm at the end of the day would go up or go down, would go up.
Right.
Or go. So subconsciously you're aiming, you know what I mean? You might not think that you are, but something's going on there. You know what I mean? So, I mean, that may start a debate, and I'm not here to start a debate, but since I've gotten back in, I've kind of understood that hiatus, that time off. And then I came back in. I have befriended several top shooters in this, Kenny Jordan, Dwayne Martin, Trevor Fielder, these guys. I'm sure you've had some of these people on your show. Mandy Boggs,
she was on just the other day.
Oh gosh, she is. I've been watching her shoot here lately. She's from the same state, obviously, so we cross paths. And man, she's just going to be a lot to handle. And she made the USA team, and that's just the icing on. I mean, she's just scratching the surface, because she's still very hungry, and she's still putting in a lot of time. She may be, and these are huge shoes to fill, but she may be the next Fawn Gerard, and those are extremely huge shoes to fill, but she may be, Fawn Gerard's still around, so she might have something to say about that yet. So, but anyway, so I have befriended some of these people, and I've got back in, and of course I changed my whole style. I changed the weight of the bow I was shooting. I changed my form. I changed everything, but I've been shooting pretty dang well. Pretty well.
Yeah, it's amazing, how far some people come in such a short time when they're hungry for it. And
with anything, you get out what you put in, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you get out what you put in. So yeah, I mean, how many archers, I mean, I don't know if people's going to care for me saying this, but Roy, there's a lot of archers that pull out their bow a week before deer season. You know what I mean? And and listen,
I used to be one of those.
I am not going to be a prima donna from my high horse and say that I was never that guy. I think I've taken some seasons more seriously than others, but whether it's a compound, whether it's a recurve, whether it's crossbow, whether it's anything with a trigger on it, or anything with a trigger release method, even if that's your fingers, we owe it to the game to be the best we possibly can be out there. You know what I mean? For quick, clean, and ethical kills, we owe it to the game. So, there's a lot to be said for this trad club that I got going, and these people that just shoot, that are just die hard. They start in January and they shoot all the way up till September, and then you couldn't hire them to come to a shoot. Once deer season happens, they're gone.
Right.
And I've got a good nucleus and core of that kind of member, and I'm just lucky to have them. So So really getting back to the club has been growing by leaps and bounds. We've had some sponsors come on board this year and sponsor some of our shoots, like Trevor Fielder with Triple T strings, and Trey Baxter. We've had several come on board, and we have a classic shoot at the end of every year that draws well over 100 shooters, and I hope it's going to grow. We're starting to run out of parking, but I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And they've came on board and they've sponsored us there, and they've got behind us, and I really appreciate that. But yeah, I've kind of taken on a side venture. I've kind of went off to the side and started my own product line. I've started a company since then. It's kind of been in the works, but now it's launched and it's moving, and it's also going great.
And what is that?
It's a Whiskey City Trad Gear. People ask me what the name's all about. I'm originally from Lawrenceburg, Indiana. Lawrenceburg, Indiana is the home of the biggest Seagram's distillery in the world. So they coined Lawrenceburg, Indiana with the name Whiskey City, USA, Whiskey City, Indiana.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of a nickname. So I just adopted that in Whiskey City Trad Archers, and now I got Whiskey City Trad Gear. This is a company that's been in the works in the background for about the past year. We've been testing some things. But since then we've brought out a few products. The main product that we brought out is I got a bunch of boxes to ship, but I don't have any laying around here. It's the Hipster. It's a hip quiver. It's a traditional hip quiver.
Okay.
Or not a traditional, and anybody. I'm finding out that a lot of these things are going to compound shooters.
Yeah.
The reason why a lot of compound shooters that shoot indoors, they don't want the quiver where the arrows face forward or face backwards, because they end up jabbing somebody in front of them on the line with the nocks, or they jab somebody behind them on the line with their nocks. So they want a more vertical presentation, and that's what the Hipster allows. It's designed in such a way that the arrows fit real tight to the body, and it's smaller. I know there's other things out on the market that I like, by the way, but it's because of those other things out on the market that inspired me to come up with this. I wanted to be somewhere between a pocket quiver and a hip quiver. So it's small in nature. And yeah, hold on. I'll show you. Look. Right there. This is a scaled down model, but if you can see that, I don't know if the blur is getting it or what.
Yeah, it's kind of blurry. Pull it back to work closer to your face.
Maybe that'll work.
Yeah, have to do it in front of your face, because it's picking up your face. There you go. Almost there. Do you have a website?
Yeah, it's www.wctrad.com. wctrad.com. And everything can be seen there. But
okay, so while we're here, I can share my screen. We can actually take a look at it and
look
see.
at you. These special effects are fantastic. Look at that.
So now we can show them. We went out to wctrad.com and here we are, and we can go through and here's a good picture of the Hipster.
Yeah, that's it.
Where did it go? Oh, okay.
You got to click on learn more. I think
learn more.
The store is underneath. So that's just kind of how it wears. It just kind of gives you, but if you go to the shop, I think there's more pictures there in the shop. Yeah. There we go. It's over there to the left. So obviously, since you're on there, you can see the price point is $49.99. I did everything that I possibly could. I mean, I had to source it, but I did everything that I possibly could to keep this under $50. And that was the whole thing, is there it is, to keep it.
Yeah. And that keeps the arrows back
right
behind
there.
You, where they're not going to be in the way of somebody that you're in front of or next to.
Yeah. And we offer an arrow tube too that you can put down in there. And if some people just prefer an arrow tube, but that's kind of but there it is. Yeah, that's our guy. That's I don't know who that is actually, but
psychedelic picture.
Yeah, the hipster, get it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's pretty good.
Yeah. So really that's what we launched. We have 3 more products now in various stages of prototype generations. We have one in the 3rd gen. It's in the testing phase.
Right.
That I've got it out there with some people, just for here, real close people that I trust to give me the absolute, good or bad. And that's what we do. We just run it by trial and error, and I'm not going to release it unless it passes. I get the nod from the people that I hold dear.
Right.
That's Chase and Leslie Schneider, 2 dear friends of ours, and they're on the pro staff. I don't know pro staff, if you will. A lot of people say pro staff, it means you're a pro. That's not necessarily what it means. Pro staff means promotional, and
right.
They're on our promotional staff. So being on our promotional staff, they promote our product, obviously, but these people that are promoting our product, believe me, they wouldn't promote our product unless they believed in it.
Right.
It's the same with, I don't want to let the cat out of the bag, but we got something really cool coming probably next month, probably in 1 more month. And it's pretty cool. I've collabed with a business that's been out there and been a staple in the traditional archery world for a while, and we got something really cool coming. So I'm pretty excited about that. And it's opened a lot of doors since I've started this. I've gotten a lot of calls from a lot of different people, and so it's funny when you I never did this. It's a first for me, but I'm staring at retirement. Retirement's not far off for me, and I thought, what do I love to do? What do I want to do? And I thought obviously something and along the lines of archery. Well, it's kind of weird when you make a business out of your hobby,
Yeah.
You, like in the last, I religiously shoot every single night. I at least give myself 30 minutes of clean shooting time a night. And now I'm packing orders every evening. I'm packing these orders, and I guess it's a good problem to have. And since we've launched, it would sound like I'm being braggadocious, and I believe me, I don't want to do that, but we've sold a lot of these hipsters. We've moved a lot of these hipsters all over the country, and in 3 weeks time, and I'm just taken aback by it. But yeah, it renders me packaging, and getting the orders out. And I try to get them every evening so I can mail them out first thing the next morning. And then of course, I got to do all that early and then be into work on time. So yeah.
Yeah, Trey's I wish I could say plane is fixing to take off. So he must be at the airport.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
He must be at the airport. So yeah, it's we just need to get some of you guys connect together. I know it was what was it? I forget. 2 times ago. Yeah. Not the last one, the one before that with Jeremy Fisher. He has the Toxin app.
Yeah.
Have you connected with him?
No, I know who you're talking about though.
Yeah, connect with him because we actually demoed his app on the call, and he was able to hook up, and he was go through the phone app, and you can connect it and share your phone to the screen, and he was going through the app and all the stuff it does, and it's like, oh man, I gave him a few sites from around here, some clubs around here that weren't on there, and I know they have shoots.
That's interesting. Yeah. Was that wasn't the last show? Was I must have missed that, Roy? I must have missed that one.
Yeah.
How many shows ago was that?
That was 2 shows ago.
Okay. Yeah, I was in Compton, so this last 2 weeks has been kind of a blur for me. And then the week before Compton was the Cloverdale, the Cloverdale Nationals, and I was there as well. And now my next big shoot is ETAR, the Eastern Traditional Archery Rendezvous in Pennsylvania. So, which is pretty good poke for me, but I'm going to make it. It's the biggest trad archery rendezvous in existence, is what I'm being told by people that frequent it every year. It's at a ski slope. I guess they lift you up and you shoot down. I don't know how it works, but
you're sitting down shooting targets as you're going.
I have no idea how it works, but hopefully I'm in good enough shape by the time I started this thing carnivore diet thing. It's just like all meat, all red meat,
Oh yeah.
And I've really been doing good on it. So hopefully I'm in good enough shape when I get there to tackle some of those hills.
Yeah, that would be a challenge.
Yeah.
Especially you have to walk up, and shoot on your way up and ride down and shoot on your way down.
Yeah.
That actually be kind of fun.
I'm a flatlander. I'm in, my home is in Milan, Indiana. I'm from Southeast Indiana, but mostly everywhere I've hunted, has been kind of flat.
Yeah.
Yeah, on purpose.
Yeah. Well, I used to like going in the mountains, but at 68, I don't like to do that much walking. That's how I pretty much quit doing pheasant hunting, because I didn't want to walk through all the fields.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to walk around. I can get 3 pheasants here in Nebraska.
Right.
And now I got 3 birds, where I can go for 1 turkey, which is bigger than 3 pheasants, or I can sit in a tree stand and wait for deer to come by.
Right on. Yeah. Yeah, no, so, I get it. So you used to do quite a bit of, obviously you're in Nebraska. So you got you got wild pheasants,
Oh,
Mostly,
yeah.
The pheasants around here are all put and take, you know what I mean? We don't have wild pheasants.
Oh, yeah.
We have pheasants that get loose every once in a while. And I don't know what the, how they say you can take a feral hog or you take a pig and then 2 generations of its offspring, then you got a wild boar,
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what it is for pheasants, because I tell you, I know that I've seen wild quail and I think that I've seen wild pheasants, but really what I've probably seen or jumped was pheasants that got loose or somebody had released them, you know what I mean? And they pretty much fended for themselves. So there's a lot of outdoorsmen around here that love to bird hunt. And every year, you think with the price of gas, this would go down, but it seems to be still happening. Every year they take out the fence rows, man, here in the Midwest. They're just hammering those fence rows. They want more crops, amber waves of grain,
Yeah.
the corn belt, and they want more of it. And that's really hurting the bird population. That's over the years. So quail, yeah, we still have quail. You can find coveys of quail about every year, but pheasant, they're about non-existent. Rabbits seem to be making a comeback, but they make a comeback, don't they, about every 7 years, whatever the cycle is for a rabbit. And what's funny is, as I look for outside the box thinking for the club members, we actually are putting together a pheasant hunt, stick bows only, flu arrows.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to line up in 6-7 people and we're walking a field, and it's going to be a put and take situation, but you know how hard those things are to hit, let alone with a bow and arrow, with a trad equipment.
Right.
So, so that's going to be fun. We may do a members only rabbit hunter too. I know several people that's got really good beagle hounds, and that's fun just to get out there and wing arrows. It's that fast moving game,
Yeah. I actually had a neighbor of mine that was real big into archery, and he actually went out and was shooting pheasants with his bow.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, I have trouble hitting it with a shotgun, let alone trying to hit it with a bow.
Oh, no kidding. No kidding. And then it looks really good on camera. That is one of those hunts that looks phenomenal on camera, but what they're not showing you is the 30 or 40 pheasants they miss before they finally hit one. But yeah, I don't know. I'm optimistic that we've got some shooters. I'm optimistic that we're going to bring down several pheasants this winter, and we got a lot of people looking forward to it. So and then to spin off of that, we got another member that is he's a diehard outdoorsman, and he just got back from he went to Alaska, or wait, he may have went to Canada. I may have told you wrong, but but he's got a friend up there that's got that's a guide, and we may be putting all together a member only bear hunt here real soon. He's got things in the works, and a couple people I need to talk to make that happen. But I have a lot of coals in the fire right now, Roy,
Yeah.
and it's hard to kind of juggle all of this, but I honestly think it's a lot of work, but I honestly think that's some of the reason we keep it fresh. And I think that's why we keep the membership that we do. When clubs kind of get stagnant, and it's the same old, and not doing anything to kind of move forward or progress, that's when they tend to dry up. Not to mention, and man, I hope somebody in the industry, and they probably can't help it, but I hope they hear this. The price of foam, these targets, it's just gotten absolutely ridiculous. I mean, and even with club discounts or whatnot, and I know people like Reinhardt, Delta McKenzie, they give so much away every year. These are great companies. I am not knocking them. Big Shot Targets, all these people, they give so much away every year. So into archery, they give back. So I appreciate that. But yeah, some of the price of just like a regular pro series Reinhardt deer, we're $500-600, you know what I mean? Just for the deer. And then the core itself is another $150, if you need to replace a core. So it just makes it kind of tough when these small local clubs, if you will, try to put together 30 targets and they're 15,000-20,000 in the hole before they ever get started in their ROI or the return on investments, like 5 years down the road. Well, then they're looking 5 years down the road, and it's about time to replace targets 2 years in, or cores.
Yeah.
It's just it's not really balanced. I'm kind of lucky that we run a trad only club. Nothing against compound guys, nothing against any archer, whatever bow they choose to shoot. But the trad guys aren't. They're not as damaging on the targets, if you will, as some of these big line cutter arrows and all that stuff.
Well, and your compounds are going to bury them a little deeper.
Yeah, they're shooting many more FPS. Yeah.
So you get one compound arrow goes in so far, the regular out of the trad bow goes half as far, which means you have to have 2 or 3 arrows in the same exact hole to get as much as one arrow damage from a compound.
Right. And
and
that's the thing. I guess it's a give and take, because when I go to these shoots that have a lot of compound shooters, I guess the repair is usually only the 10X or the 11 or,
right.
These guys are shooting. Let me tell you, these competitive compound guys, it's a game of X's. It's a game. If you shoot 1.8, you might as well go to the truck. You just got beat. These guys are shooting near perfect rounds. I mean, perfect. And I've yet to see that done in traditional archery. Believe me, I was always kind of skeptical. As a matter of fact, Jim Compliment, the guy I told you earlier, the grumpy archer, he has now changed his name to the skeptical archer. Because of some of these, you see these big scores everywhere. And I was kind of the same way. I got to be honest with you. I was kind of skeptical of these guys turning in these huge scores. But then, that's kind of when somebody's turning in a big score like that, that's the guy I want to shoot with. And here's why.
Right.
I'm a firm believer, if I golfed with Tiger Woods all year or whoever, pick a golfer, a professional golfer, professional bass fisherman. If I fished with Kevin Van Dam all year, I'm pretty sure at the end of the year, I'd be a fairly decent bass fisherman. I'm sure I would have picked up a few things. So I'm a firm believer in, if you've plateaued in archery and you're looking to go that next level, whether it be in your hunting, whether it be in target shooting, whether it be in field, whether it be in 3D, whatever, surround yourself, do whatever you can to either find a coach or find somebody that beats your pants every time, that beat your pants off every time you go to shoot. Go befriend that guy or gal and start shooting with them. You will pick up on some things. So I got with Kenny Jordan, Trevor Fielder, Paul Helm, Dwayne Martin. I mentioned, I just seem like I'm doing a lot of name dropping, but
Yeah.
in single string, that's the people, and I surrounded myself with these people. And, I didn't I didn't know Kenny Jordan before, world champion longbow shooter. He's made the world champion team. Trevor Fielder is a longbow shooter. He shoots a little bit of everything. World champion himself. Anyway, that don't make the man. I'm just saying they're really good shooters. And until you go with these guys, you don't understand the level of skepticism that you have until you see it. So I went and shot with these guys, and I seen these, they're just a whole different level of shooter. I don't even know how to really explain it. I shot with Trevor this last weekend at Compton, and I got a chance to carry. My person was watching the booth, so I got a chance to get out there. Thank goodness she went, because I got a chance to get out there and do a little bit. Who wants to go to Compton Rendezvous and not shoot? I was scared it was going to be all business, but I got out there and got to shoot, and he's hurt his shoulder or something. He's shooting a little light longbow, but still at that, he was shooting really well. And these guys are just, I don't know how to explain it. They're just kind of wired a little bit differently, and I keep trying to get there, but I don't know that I ever will, to be honest. I mean, there's some people that just can understand how to grab a guitar and they just catch on real quick.
Right.
I'm that guy that sounds like, I'm beating on pots and pans until, so yeah, it's hard to explain.
Well, I know, lots of times I've heard stories of somebody actually shooting against, somebody that's much better shot, and,
Right.
and they're actually helping them.
Yeah.
These guys that shoot at that high level, they want you to shoot better.
Yeah.
Because they realize as you get better, that forces them to keep up on their game. If you always win, then, like, okay, I'm always winning. That would be no fun. You got to have something to push you.
Yeah. Yeah. You look at this last, everybody's kind of judging things, it seems like, by Lancaster. Are you familiar with this? The Lancaster Archery world, where they all go in and it's a 300 round or whatever they call that. I'm sorry, I'm not a paper shooting guy, but they finally let longbows and wood arrows in there, and Trevor almost made the stage last year. I don't think he did this year, but last year he did, and that's going to be a huge thing. But anyway, the people that were always winning it, like and I say this with nothing but respect, the Dwayne Martins, John Dimmers, Fawn Gerards, people that I know that I mean are just next level archers. They weren't on the they didn't get as far this year. I mean, don't get me wrong, they made the podium, whatever, but they were eliminated by all these new faces, these people that I never even heard of before. And it just goes to show you, words out there, single strings out there, bare bow, which is, it's the aluminum riser, the ILF style limbs. It's not my thing, but it's a lot of people's thing. It's the fastest thing growing in single string, so Calvin Smock and Dwayne, they own that CD Archery together, and they have a riser, and that's kind of king and bare bow. But anyway, these guys it's the fastest thing growing, and it can't be denied. That class at Lancaster went from like 80 people shooting it to like 380 people. I don't know. My numbers could be way off, but I'm not over exaggerating that much. So I pay attention to those trends, and I pay attention to the things that's happening in and around me in the sport, because that's what I like to do. And it's a pretty exciting time to, like I say, I've been back in for about 2.5 years now, 3 years. It's a pretty exciting time to come back into the sport and see where it's progressed to, and how much it's changed and evolved in a short 10, 15 years. And by that, Roy, I specifically mean single string archery, what I'm a fan of.
Well, that's how it started out.
Yeah, it's how it started out for you.
Yeah.
It's how it started out for a lot of people.
Yeah, thousands of years before I started, it had been started,
Yeah. The crudest form, they have a self bow class. These guys, they make their own bow and they go shoot it, it's just, what is it? Twin Oaks down there in Tennessee. These guys, it's a big shoot in Tennessee. It's like in February or March. Oh, I'm sorry, I got so many things going on in my head, Roy. But anyway, I think Twin Oaks is the club. But anyway, they have this big rendezvous down there. And get this, these guys, they have flint napping. You can nap your own broadheads. You can make your own arrows. There's Osage staves there that you can purchase. And then there's a barn set up and everybody's making their own bows. And this is absolutely free with the exception of you buying the stave. And there's all these aficionados or old goats in the sport that have been building bows for years. And they're sitting there helping you along. And then by the time you leave this shoot, you start your bow on like Thursday evening, you're out there shooting it on the course, shooting 3D targets with this thing on Saturday morning, competing with it. And it's just, man, I don't know how
That
long.
sounds like fun.
Oh, Lord have mercy. That wasn't around when I was in it. I may have never ever got out of it, but I would have just put the fishing rods up, but no. I actually, you fish too, right? Correct?
Yeah.
I actually got a kayak. I had a bass boat and did all that. And I got rid of the bass boat. Couldn't justify that monster of a payment that's a year round.
Right.
that you only use a boat for 5-6 months out of the year. But so I went and got a kayak and I actually started fishing some kayak tournaments, and I'm going to get back to that. I truly enjoyed it. Truly enjoyed the kayak tournaments, and it's all online. It's an online, you take pictures of fish, measure, it's impossible to cheat at. I mean, well, don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm sure,
Oh yeah.
somebody's going to find a way to cheat for the most part, but it's really enjoyable. So I'm going to try to mix a little more of that in next year if I have time. So,
Yeah, if you have time.
yeah, if I have time.
Yeah. Now you think you're busy now, wait until you retire.
I can't wait.
You're even busier then. I know when my dad retired, he was busier than when he was working. And I was like, how can you be busier? And then now that I'm retired, it's like, yeah, okay. Busier doing things you want to do instead of being, stuck with a 9 to 5 or 8 to 4 or whatever the job is.
Right. Yeah, sometimes I think, man, I got to go back to work to get a break. But for the most part, I stay pretty busy at work too. So
yeah.
But it's the switching gears in the evening. I totally switched gears and have been concentrating and focusing on Whiskey City Trad and building that brand. And then obviously the Whiskey City Traditional Archers hasn't went anywhere, and their shoots there every month. Our next shoot, let me go ahead and shamelessly plug our next shoot.
Oh, yeah.
Mine. It's July 9th. I'm sorry, I lost my voice. It's July 9th. And that's our next shoot. And, obviously Justin and I will be out there trying our best to set the course. And we try to make subtle changes a little bit every time, just to keep things interesting, keep it flowing.
Well, and what you can do is in the Arch Talk 101 Facebook group, go ahead and post a link to your shoot.
Yeah, man.
And
absolutely.
One of the few links I do allow in my groups is
shoots
to shoots and the clubs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I don't allow, but just post all these links to these products to sell and stuff, because I don't want to turn into a sales group, because there's plenty of those out there. So, but
the thing on these groups, do you run into that? And the thing on these groups is I understand, I get people that come over to our page on Whiskey City Traditional Bow Hunter or Traditional Archers, and they want to post things for sale, and they want constantly. But let me tell you, with these platforms and these groups, it's very important to give as much as you take.
Right.
So I always had kind of an issue, and I don't care if they say I'm being a butt for saying this or whatever, with somebody that never participated in your group, that don't come around talking or adding any content, but yet then they put up something to sell. And that's all that they do. So if I just the PSA on Archery Talk 101, at least this podcast today, the PSA for this podcast is, put in as much as you take. I have no problem helping somebody build their brand or helping them along, as long as they're participatory. As if they're not
Right.
participatory, people see through that real quick, and they're actually hurting their brand. They're hurting their brand.
Right. And
So,
that's, even though I don't allow selling in the group,
right.
on the podcast goes into the group because you're providing value. So we're going to provide value back. And
Absolutely.
I've got just about 800 people in the Archery Talk 101 Facebook group.
Yeah, it's nice.
I have
That's
another
nice.
group I started, a little bit before this one, called Retired in Style. I have 1,900 in that group.
Wow.
And I delete and ban people at least 1 or 2 a day, seems like, because they come in, first thing they do is they're going to post something about stocks or crypto or this kind of stuff. And it's like, no, this is not a place for that. And, as the groups get bigger, I don't have time to give you a warning. One shot
Yeah.
and you're out.
Yeah.
And the first thing you do, it's like, oh, hey, I've got this t-shirt to sell. I got this to sell. I got these knives to sell. It's like, no. One of the coaches I've had and mentors, they says, we do a lot of this stuff to sell and make money on stuff.
Sure.
But she said 80% of your post should provide content and value, and 20% asking for sales.
Can't agree more.
So if you're going to post one sale item, you better post it already for just providing value and content.
I can't agree more, Roy. And I tell you what, that's what people need to understand. I mean, I'm not trying to be shrewd, and you're not either. Obviously, you've dealt with this already.
Yeah.
Seems like, I don't know, this is my therapy session or something, because I've been dealing with this the past few weeks, and you don't want to tick anybody off where they go bad mouthing your page or they don't come back. I try to be friends with everyone, but don't take kindness for weakness. So you have to be, have some common sense about it. We've built a platform where we have a lot of people that go to that platform in order to talk like-minded things.
Right.
Okay? And if somebody's coming around every time and just jamming their thing down your throat, you're hurting your brand. That's what I try to explain to them. They get you can see simply by the likes or the comments, they get nothing. It just goes straight to the bottom. So I started having to eliminate those kind of posts. I hope, just it is what it is. But you should put in as much as you take from a group, any group.
Right. Whatever you're doing. And
because somebody's got a lot of time behind it.
Yeah. It took a lot of time and a lot of money to get it, set up and going.
No doubt.
Because in the other group, I actually paid for, was going through and paid for Facebook ads to get them into the group and
advertising.
That.
Yeah.
I've added about 1,700 people in a group since I had any paid ads running for it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And the archery one is 100% organic growth. And
that's great.
We're just shy of 800 people in the group now from all over the world. That's the thing. I've talked, if you look at some of the other podcasts, I've talked to people around the world. And that's what's nice now is we can talk like we're sitting down next to each other. You just need an internet connection and
it's insane. Yeah.
And we talk archery, and we all have different things going on. And like I was telling you before this one started, the only requirement is we start talking archery.
That's all it takes.
It's something from there,
something you know a little about, something I know a little about. What else is there? I mean, archery is an international language. You put me in a room with an archer, I've got a friend. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's just, and I don't care if I'm in Germany or if I'm in, if I'm in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. If there's an archer in the room, I've got a friend. We're on common ground together.
Well, and it's better if you speak the same language, but the language we speak is archery.
Yeah, it's international. It goes anywhere.
You know what? These little phones.
Yeah.
They have something called Google Translate.
Yeah. It's
I can type it in and show it to them and translate it to their language.
Yeah.
And get back on. And if you don't speak English very well, that is one of the requirements that we have to either speak or translate to English.
Right.
For it. But you know what? I'm waiting for the guy that wants to get on here, and it's like, okay, we'll use Google Translate. you'll use the chat method, and you type it in chat and I'll convert it and speak it out, and then I'll type a response back to it, and
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
it could be done. It'd be a little bit slower, but it'd be interesting to talk to somebody,
Yeah.
because I've got people in my profile from all over the world that are archers, and the same thing with the group.
Right.
And it's amazing how much we can do and how much we can learn. And one of the things I like the group is that I have set up is, say you're having a problem with your form,
Yeah.
take a video, upload it. Just not a YouTube video. Don't put it on YouTube and upload that, but just upload your raw video. And we have archers in here. Say you have a problem with your form that has, lots of experience teaching. We have, I've been teaching since 95. So
It's 95.
yeah, I become an archery coach in 1995.
Is that through the NFAA or what's that through?
Yeah,
USA
NFAA.
Archery?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
NFAA. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
back in 95. A guy named Bernie Palatira was, I'm surprised I remember his name. I don't know why.
Mhm.
He come to Omaha here and taught. It was on a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, at night, the evening ones. And Friday we go in there, and the first thing to do is check, make sure you're at dominant eye and what's your draw length. And at that time I thought it was a 32-inch draw length.
You
Well,
thought it was
my sleeves on my shirts, if they're not 35, I hold my arms out and they come up past my wrist, so and I didn't know my first bow when I went to the shop. This is, here, try this bow. I drew it back. How's that feel? Okay. I had no clue.
right. Right.
I'd shot my brother's whitetail too. But
That's the
this
one
is,
with
I'm buying my
That's
first
the one that
compound.
pulleys on the limb.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. You have,
I think that was
a
the
little,
two.
you
Oh,
have a
yeah.
little pin to move, where
Yeah.
you want 65% let off,
Yeah.
or
Nobody knows about that.
but so I got it. It's like this 32 inches. So when it broke, I'm trying to get another bow 32 inches long. Well, that's what I had. I'd ended up with a PSE. It was 32 inches long because that's what I thought it was. I go down and it says, you're 29 and a half. Your bow must be 29 and a half draw length to attend Saturday night's class. So I have all day Saturday to get it done. So you're going out, shorter string will shorten the draw length. And so I got it down to my length so I could get down to the correct length to shoot. Because, that extra, actually 2.5 inches puts you back here almost behind your ear.
Right. Right.
Or stretching that arm way out.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so then I learned it, and we did a lot of the blank bale shooting. They taught us the form, and now they got our eyes closed. We're close enough. We can just lean over, grab the arrow, pull it out, and shoot again with our eyes closed. And then you're finally getting where you're feeling the form, open your eyes, and your form goes on crap again. So then you close your eyes and shoot and open it. So finally you can open it up and have the same one. And now, okay, now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it takes a while. And then there was an additional course that, you become an instructor. So I went to that as well and paid extra money for that. And it's amazing how many people spend all that money. Back then it was like $250, I think it was, for those 3 nights of class.
Yeah.
This is back in 95. So that was a lot of money. And that's the first they did is they went right back to what they was doing before.
Yeah.
I said, I'm paying this money to learn this new technique. And
No, I get it.
I'm gonna do it. And now I shoot 29 because that extra half inch shorter means I don't hit my big heavy coat.
Yeah.
Which I did with my too long draw length. I hit my arm with my coat because I heard it smack the coat, and didn't hurt my arm because the coat was so heavy. And it made me miss the deer. I sent that muzzy broadhead through the thigh bone.
Yeah.
Just shattered the thigh bone, and of course cut an artery with it as well. But so it didn't take long to, it took longer than I should have, but it still bled out and died.
Right. Sure.
And it didn't go very far. And I wonder why it didn't go very far. Well, I know why, because the back hip was all broke.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah. I tell you, I'm going to get back in the deer woods this year. I've taken too long of a hiatus from the sport, and especially, don't get me wrong, I've been in the deer woods vicariously every year through my son. Through my youngest son, God bless his heart, he don't hunt. He was he was blessed with other talents, but hunting isn't one of them. He has no desire, loves to fish, just has no desire to hunt, has nothing against it, just not his thing. But anyway, I'm going to get back in there this year. And, I'm going to try to also build the YouTube channel. I put a YouTube channel out, and I think it's Whiskey City Trad or Whiskey City Traditional Arts. Even terrible. I don't even know what it's called. I've got 5 or 6 videos on there, but Whiskey City Trad, I think. It's terrible. You're going to find it, aren't you? You're looking around for it. It's Whiskey City Traditional, maybe. I've got a few YouTube channels, but that's one that I tried to, and I've thrown a few videos on there. But obviously, I'm going to try to film some hunts this year. And I used to be a passion of mine. I've done that in the past, and I've got other traditional harvest on film back when it was analog, when VHS.
Oh yeah.
But then when mini DV came out, I thought when 1080p came out, I thought, Lord have mercy, I'm going to make a living in the archery industry and the hunting industry. Didn't really work out that way, but I did really enjoy, and that leaves something behind for the grandkids and so on and so forth. So yeah, I'm gonna try to film more hunts this year. What are you up to there, Roy? I see you're up to something.
Yeah, well,
don't embarrass me now. I don't have. Oh, no, that's it. I don't have the editing skills that a lot of these people have, and I'm just kind of learning. So there's been a slight learning curve, but I'm getting something. I'm getting something going.
Yeah. So I just subscribed. So you got one more subscriber.
Appreciate you. That brings it up to a big total of 87 subs.
18 videos.
I don't really push the channel all that much, but I plan on it. I feel like there needs to be there has to be the content there, and I just
right.
Not quite there yet.
Well, and one of the things I've been doing YouTube videos for quite a while. Until you get probably 100 videos,
yep,
you do not exist to YouTube.
No. I mean, look at those. I mean, a couple hundred views, 400 or 500 views, but I got a couple on there with several thousand views. It's just weird how the algorithm and it's because like I think my heaviest viewed video was a Black Widow bows interview, but that's because I was, somebody did search Black Widow bows,
Right.
So yeah, as far as me and Whiskey City Trad Archers, the channel, it's got less subscribers than we have club members. So
yeah,
there's something backwards about that. But no,
yeah, you would think that
it's just that I haven't promoted it. I haven't pushed it.
Right.
And, I'll get around to it.
Yeah, it's it takes a while to do that and get everything going. And my machine is slow here.
Well, look how many daggone windows you got open. Look at all.
Oh, I have 4 monitors.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I got the laptop and 3 others. I mostly use 3 of them, but
look at this car repair welding project. I weld. I have an old 69 Ford I'm restoring F100. I had some raised bed gardens, and here's the deal, Roy, with the raised. You're not going to agree with me but here's how I can buy it cheaper at Kroger's. It's just a lot of work, Roy.
Yeah.
I'll go get it in the can for 89 cents.
Well, I've got some welding projects in here, and I've done some welding, a couple welding projects. Here's a playlist of just bow ticks. Here's the podcast shows up into here.
Yeah, I've been
I have some gardening ones. I got a freeze dryer, so I'm showing that. I've got, this is 2001 garden, 2022 garden.
I hear the canning. I hear the ball mason jars are getting hard to find. I don't know if that's true or not, but I'm hearing
it was for a while.
Now it's back good again.
Oh yeah, yeah, it's back pretty good now. Um,
Yeah.
you never know what people are going to be interested in.
Yeah.
Here is,
Yeah.
look at
Look at
this,
that.
14,000 views of me just making stevia powder to replace sugar. I put it
My
in my
goodness. And a
safe.
dehydrator.
Yeah, in a dehydrator.
Yeah.
Now, if I
That's
do it
all
again,
I'm
I'll get the
doing
freeze
now
dryer.
is
But
all I'm doing stevia.
yeah, and
Stevia, the
it
stevia
grows.
plant's stronger than sugar.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
I think I read that it's 2 times the sweetness of sugar.
Oh, more than that. If you buy the stevia, it's like just a few milligrams is a serving,
Huh,
and use very little of it. Don't put a tablespoon in of stevia unless you have 6 or 7 gallons.
really?
Yeah. Yeah. And look at here, 8,200 views on me installing an outlet in the safe. This is
Cool.
just me digging up sweet potatoes. This is working on my ATV which went through a flood.
Ranch.
And it's more in here. And here's, I got some reusable canning lids when canning lids are hard to find.
Oh
Um,
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
you just set them up, however you want. I'm not monetized yet, but I have 530 videos. And once you
Yeah.
get going so far,
You're starting to
um,
grow. Yeah.
YouTube will start promoting. I think it was about 25% of my views come from YouTube's recommended views or
Yeah.
videos.
Yeah. So
So
cool. Thank
that
you for
cut,
that.
cut enough about my channel, but
No, but thank you. Thank you. You're kind of giving me an idea. That's the thing. I mean, I know they're just like I said earlier, it's you get out what you put in. And I've got so many other coals in the fire that I haven't been able to concentrate on just YouTube. This year, I've got a bunch of cameras. I'm kind of a closet videographer, if you will. I always film stuff and like to film things, but I have a bunch of Sony cameras, little handy cams. They're
oh
1080,
yeah,
they're 1080p, but it's HD quality. It's not
right,
4K, right? But I've got a bunch of them, and what I'm going to do this year is offer them up to club members, and I'm going to try to get more club members involved. That way, if I spread it out, like I said, we have a nucleus of a bunch of hunting club members.
right,
If we start getting these harvests and stuff on film or on, what do you say? I don't even think you say on film anymore. On digital, on SD
right.
card, whatever it is. I don't even know how you say it anymore. But if we start getting more on I'm just gonna say on film, but if we, I could put more videos out, and it might help me through this winter to work on the YouTube thing. Might be a winter project, when things kind of slow
Right.
down.
Well, and one thing you can do is put out shorts.
And I
Because
read on those the other day. Those are really taking, people are wanting information faster and faster and faster.
right, right. Some people will kind of badmouth TikTok, but it's a place to put out stuff. I've used that. I've kind of refocused. I just don't have time to put out the little
Right.
shorts and the TikTok and the reels, and the shorts are for YouTube, reels are for Facebook, and TikTok is its own little thing. And
Right.
and there's a lot of stuff you can do. It's nice. You just take your phone, set it up for a 15 or 30-second commercial or whatever. It's like, hey, what you just talk, and then a little short, you're done. It posts, you're done.
Yeah.
YouTube,
Yeah.
you can go live on YouTube, and
Yeah.
it's like, hey, I'm out here, just go live, and once you get there, and TikTok, once you get a certain amount of followers that following you, then you can go live. So I could say I've got enough. I can sit there and do something, go live right away, and that's a way that you can get information out there about different stuff. You could just a little short one and say, hey, next weekend we have this shoot coming up. Make sure you're
Right.
there, and here's where it's at, and then go. There's your post, and just way to promote whatever you want to do. And I've done all those different ones, and I just right now on my YouTube channel during the summertime anyway, I'm putting about one video a day is what
Yeah.
I'm doing.
That's really kind of what you got to do. I mean, it's, somebody told me in the YouTube realm, it's about don't get me wrong, quality means something, but quantity also means a lot. You
Right.
just got to keep after it. And don't take everything so personal, because if you're not growing at what you think you need to be growing, it's either you keep after it, sooner or later it's going to hit.
Right.
That
Yeah.
algorithm is really funky over there, man. It's really a weird wave to catch either, but someday your wave will come around, as long as you keep pumping out content.
Well,
Yeah.
like I showed you on mine, you never know what people are going to be
Never
interested in.
know. Never know.
I did, for a long time, me digging up sweet potatoes was the number one. And
And
next
that's
thing you
something.
know, here's the Steve, it just takes off. And,
Right.
you can see, you might get 200-300 views a week on
Right.
some of these.
Yeah.
And, and then just keep putting it out and just doing it. And, it's fun. I need to get more archer ones in there, but,
Oh,
I
have you
do
had?
post, I
Sorry,
do
go ahead.
post two of the posts each week is the podcast, because I put 2 of those out a week. So I just have content I have to create. But I might be doing all kinds of different stuff. I might be doing some shooting. I might be doing, well, right now I'm working on one. I'm crawl space door. It got all rotted out, so I'm doing videos on creating that, and those end up being split into multiple ones. But it's all just you got to do something.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's constructive time spent. And I mean, it's all about, getting the word out there. And if you have a passion for it, I mean, nothing, heck, if I'm enjoying it and nobody's watching my channel at all, I'd probably still do it. There's something that I enjoy about the digital fingerprint. And it's more so for me, as selfish as that sounds. Don't get me wrong, there's an aspect of putting it out there to the community and so on and so forth. But as far as the hunting videos I'm talking about, that's something that stays around for your kids, grandkids, great grandkids.
Right.
We didn't have that. There isn't nothing more than I would like to see a video of my grandpa talking, hunting, fishing, whatever, where I could just hear his voice again,
Yeah.
or my grandmother. There's just none of that. Don't get me wrong. There was probably 8mm or something, and my mother probably has it or something, but with no sound, I don't know. There just wasn't a lot of that in my era. It's just this digital era, is pretty neat. And I don't even want to open the can about AI. I've been going down the AI wormhole for the past couple of weeks. And
I've been using it for several months, and it's got lots of stuff in it. There's a lot you can do. You can write books, you can do all kinds of different stuff. And I use it sometimes too in creating content.
yeah.
I don't do it a lot, but just as an experiment, I asked chat GPT to create an outline for an ebook on archery. So it created the outline. And then I took each one, and then at each of the outline things, I says, write a paragraph about it. So I ended up with a whole ebook, about 70 pages of an ebook on archery. And then I said, okay, create me the script for a webinar to promote the book. So then it created all the text for that. And I says, okay, I want you to create me 7 posts promoting the webinar, a week's worth, for Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Tumblr, Pinterest. I forget, there's a couple other ones. And it created the content, because Instagram is a little bit different format than, like all the rest of them. So now it created all that stuff, and I got a whole document, about 110 pages, but I got to go through and read it, because it, and it took me, probably a half hour, 45 minutes altogether.
Insane.
And so within a half hour, I had a 70-page book on archery.
Insane.
Yeah. So the power is in there to do whatever. And there's a lot of them are using it for ads and posts. And, when you have a product, you have your landing page for your hipster. You can use the AI to say, hey, write me this. And then if you don't like what it is, well, change the voice that sounds like, I had one I did one time, and it sounded a little flowery.
Yeah.
And I says, rewrite it with this, and take this into account. Or if you want to have your post, say, well, put them in a table, okay, and then give me some hashtags for it. Give me a description of the image I want for it. It'll do all that for you, and you can train them. And, I see people out there just doing all kinds of different stuff. And
Crazy.
I put together an online coaching program. I don't do a lot of promoting on it because I've got a lot going on.
Right.
It's there. And in fact, my first student it was on Messenger when I was thinking about putting it together. He
Yeah.
offered me, and he's in a group now too, and he invited a bunch of his friends into the group. But you know, he would post a video of him shooting, and then I'd look at it, and then you know, go back and give him comments and back and forth, because there was no coach anywhere near him. He didn't have a coach he could really drive to. And you know, so my first online coaching student was in Italy.
Yeah. When I got back in, I started looking for coaches. Archery coaches weren't easy to find. You can find all the stick and ball sport coaches you want. You can find, and it's like when my kid was bass fishing, you know, when of course I knew how to Carolina rig a worm, and you know, I knew how to bass fish, you know, throw a spinner bait or a rooster to something simple, you know,
Right.
but I'd done a lot of bass fishing growing up, but not competitively. And so when he was in middle school, he graduated what I could teach him, and he was becoming more proficient angler than I was. So I went and looked for a bass fishing coach. It hadn't caught on yet. So when I got out of archery and I came back in, I started looking for archery coaches in my area. Sadly enough, this was just 3 years ago. Sadly enough, there wasn't hardly anybody, you know, and that's kind of how I reached out and found Paul Helms or Trevor Fielder, their friends, and that's how I found them guys. And you know, Trevor kind of got me pointed in the right direction, and then Kenny Jordan lived right down the road, and it's, you know, I've been introduced to other shooters since then, and you know, it's been, you know, all downhill from there. But at least I'm coasting downhill now. But because I know some people, if I get stuck or struck, I've become great friends with arguably one of the best traditional archery coaches that we have today, and that's Rod Jenkins. You know, he comes up and does a seminar every February for our clubs, been doing it for the last 3 years. And I've just become really good friends with him. I mean, we'll call and talk. I seen him at Compton. You know, he'll call me when he's driving in between play. We're friends. And you know, all the time we don't talk archery. We talk on kind of other mundane stuff, but super good guy. But if it wasn't for, you know, some of these people, when I got my foot back in the door that introduced me to that side of archery, I would have never met Rod. So, you know, it's funny how doors open. I wouldn't be on this podcast here with you today, you know, if it weren't for my love of archery, you know. So, you know, it's funny how things come full circle and how things work.
And you know, on the podcast, you know, you don't have to be a hunter, you don't have to be an expert, you know. If you have a desire to learn it, don't, you know, I'm still looking for the person that wants to get started in archery that's never done it before.
Right.
You know, get them on the podcast.
Yeah.
You know, or those that are just starting out. You know, because I've talked to lots of different people in there in all different levels, you know, from the just beginners to somebody that does it for fun.
Yeah, you don't discriminate.
No,
I mean, you have little old me's on here, and then you have big names in the sport, and that's I do appreciate that about your podcast, that you give everybody time on your platform that you've worked hard to build from scratch. And don't get me wrong, I understand it's a podcast and you need content as well,
right?
But you're still plugging along after all these episodes and everything else. And I think the diversity in your podcast is the fact that you know, and there's a lot of good podcasts out there, you know that. I'm sure you listen to
other podcasts.
And
there's
the ones that I tend to gravitate to are the ones that, you know, I don't need to hear, don't get me wrong, I know who Chuck Adams is. You know, he's killed everything on the continent, on all the continents, you know, and it's super, but you know, I really can't relate. I personally don't have the money to go on a Dall sheep hunt, you know.
No.
And I love hearing about it, but that's not where I'm going to spend my time. I would rather listen to, for me personally, and everybody's different, I would rather listen to the regular guy on your podcast or you know, that started an archery club and what that was like, because that's what I relate to. So yeah, I mean, there's something out, that's a great thing about podcasts, and that's a great thing about the interwebs.
Right.
There's something out there for everybody. But no, Roy, you're doing, you're doing a great job. Maybe that'll be a good place to call it, because I appreciate you having me on. I really do. And I don't know, I feel like we've been at it for a while now.
Yeah. It's almost 5 here. I think we started about 3. So
Yeah.
we shoot for an hour and hour and a half, 2 hours. What they
I've
always
seen
end up
that in your
going.
shows. Sometimes you get just sucked in there too. And before you know it, a 10-minute conversation just goes out the window.
Yeah. And hey, we're just having fun chat, amongst two friends.
Yeah, man.
We're archers, so we're automatically friends. But now, we've met and talked, and so if I
Absolutely.
run into you, hey, we're gonna just like, hey, I remember you.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're on my podcast.
Yeah. That's cool, man. That's cool. I really appreciate it. Is there anything else? Anything else you need from me or anything?
No, it's
I've pretty much
actually
covered everything.
Yeah. I'm actually a little bit surprised that they haven't called you to interrupt you.
Well, I went and told, yeah. I got out of here at 4:00. I was punching out of the day. So I'm actually using my work computer. I'm still in my office at work, but I'm sure there's no ethical problems with that. But I had to go tell them, hey, I'm off work for the day and I'm on a Zoom meeting. It's personal. So yeah, nobody's came in here. That's good.
Yeah. Well, and if you want to let everybody know what you do, you can do that. If not, we'll just go.
Oh, well, no, I mean, I have no problem telling it. I'm a civil servant. I'm a police officer. I'm a police chief in the town that I grew up in. And it's not a huge department. We're on the outskirts of Cincinnati, Ohio, but I mean, we have 25 people here, and it's not the biggest department in the world, but it's not the smallest. And yeah, that's what I do. I've been in police work for the last 20 some years. I was in construction. There's where the welding comes in. My dad was a Boilermaker. And when Boilermakers were still alive in these coal-fired fossil fuel powerhouses up and down the Ohio River. So I started in construction, and then I migrated into dirt work and civil supervision and construction. And then I got on as a reserve police officer. So I built a lot of bridges in my time, literal bridges, but I never felt it was just another bridge. I didn't feel like I was, but as a reserve police officer, I felt like I was making a difference. It was different. It was different. It was a different feel. So I left the life of construction and ended up, pursuing the law enforcement thing full time. And that's where I've been for the last 20 some years. And there again, you get out what you put in. You get out what you put in any sport, hobby, profession. It has its days. I'm not gonna lie to you, Roy. And the climate, and I don't want to get political here, and I'm not going to, but the climate and just everything, has actually, it's changed a lot than when we were coming up,
Right.
So you gotta improvise, you gotta adapt, and you gotta overcome that stuff. And that's a constant struggle in this business, but we make it work. And I'm fortunate being in a smaller department. Any of these officers can come in and see me at any time. My door is always open to the officers that work here. And I never get I just want everybody to be treated how they like to be treated. That's it.
Yeah.
And most
that's
of
how
this
we
is
grew up.
That's how we grew up. And most of this job is common sense. It's just a common sense thing. So I don't know why I went all down that. That's what I do.
Well, before we get out of here, John Fort, which was on with Mandy, when I did their interview with her.
I know John.
He says, glad to see you make it on. Kenneth, he said he ordered your hipster.
Oh, good deal. Thanks, Kenneth.
And Mike Johnson says, good job.
Mike Johnson. Good deal. Thank you, Mike.
Yeah. And if we
Well,
want to have
that's
some
the Tennessee Mafia, Mike Johnson.
Oh,
Mike Johnson, you need to look him up sometime. That guy's got his hands in several things. I'm telling you, he's a mover and a shaker in the archery industry. He's a big Luminoc guy. You know, Luminoc.
oh yeah. Oh
Big
yeah.
Luminoc
I've
guy.
got
And
some.
he's in with them guys and just a super good guy. And I call him Whiskey City South chapter. He's in Tennessee. So he's south of me. I call him the South chapter. Yeah, he's a
Well,
super good dude, super good guy. And
well,
I've
it
met
sounds
so
like
many good people. How many you, Roy, that I wouldn't have met if it wasn't for this, outlet, you know?
right.
It's just crazy. I met lifelong friends because of a stick and a string. It's crazy.
Yeah. And Mike, if you want to come on the podcast, hey, we'll just schedule a time. Just let me know.
Oh, that
I'll send you a
I
link.
tune in. He's hilarious. The guy,
Yeah.
you're gonna bust a gut laughing at him. And I tell you, another one is Greg Richards. You know, as he's talking about YouTube platforms and creators, Greg Richards, you need to check him out, Roy. I know you're not shooting traditional nowadays, but he's got a YouTube channel called 3D Archery, and it's one of the bigger trad channels that we have. And he is just a super good guy, and he shoots straight from the hip. So I sent him a Hipster to test, you know, and I was
Oh,
a little
yeah.
nervous about it because he pulls no punches, none. When
Right.
he does stuff, he's one of those. He won't tell you something for the sake of because you sent it to him for free. So I sent my product to him on purpose, you know, just and he turned out he fell absolutely in love with it. But he's a great guy, and he's got a pretty good following. I think he's monetized now, and I mean he's got a pretty good following of people. Great guy. Jeff Phillips, another great guy. I could go on and on, but yeah, there's no such thing as you know as it. It's good to be promoted. It is.
Right.
We're all getting it out there. We're all in the archery sphere together, so it's good to get it out there.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun doing these, and you know, if I can help out an archer that's in a group or listening on the podcast or watching my YouTube channel,
Yeah,
you know, that's just my YouTube channel is just all about helping. That's why I called it Learn to Fix It Yourself.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know, and you know, I think a lot of people like how to fix things, you know, because that's one of the things that they don't really teach much. But
No,
you know, when I was growing up, you fixed it. There wasn't really a lot of options to go buy new stuff. You couldn't throw it away because it's just better to fix it.
You fixed it. And I mean, I have a buddy that I always call him MacGyver because he can fix anything. And we were just raised differently, you know. His dad wouldn't fix anything for him, you know, where my dad would. My dad came from the era of fixing things, but my dad would jump in and fix it for me, so to speak.
Oh,
And I would just be there watching and kind of wonder off. The minute I handed him the wrong wrench, he'd yell at me, and I'd just kind of wonder off because I was in the way. Well, my friend's father didn't help him in any way. He'd say, go figure it out. You got to put that starter on that car, go figure it out. You know, go pull a used starter from the junkyard and put it on. You know exactly what I'm talking about. And so just because of that guy can fix anything. I mean, you know, we're a little different, and that was goes back to our upbringing, but you know, yeah, we definitely come from a different generation where you fix things. I am a YouTube mechanic, so I love channels like yours. Here's the thing. If it wasn't for YouTube, I probably wouldn't have got the past 10 projects done. You know, I'm always, when I know I have something coming up I need to fix or I'm going to work on, I start watching YouTube channels to see how in depth it's going to be, see how deep I'm going to get myself in, you know, what kind of trouble I'm going to get myself in, so on and so forth. So it's just the best I don't even watch TV anymore. I mean, I watch YouTube every evening because you can instantly just kind of watch what speaks to you, you know?
Well, and then YouTube is real good at, if you watch this type of video, then they keep pushing that one in front of you. So
Yeah,
they
they
do more
do.
and more and more. Because their idea is they want to keep you on the channel,
They do.
the channel, and don't want to have you
Their
leave
marketing,
the platform.
YouTube's marketing is a genius. I mean, genius, next level genius. It's probably AI.
Well, and then too, between Facebook and YouTube, Facebook don't like you to post YouTube videos because they don't run it because they want you to do it, but they'll promote their reels because that's a Facebook one.
Oh, I guess
so
you're right. Yeah,
they don't want you. Neither one likes post off their platform.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah, I see exactly. I never really thought about that, but you're spot on. Yeah. Yeah.
learn how to play a game. But that's the stuff
Yeah.
I've been learning for the last
Yeah.
2.5 years.
Yeah, man. Yep. Yep. Interesting.
Well, we probably should end this so that you can get home and get going with something you're doing, and I can get this ready to get posted. And like anybody listening, hey, if you want to get on talk about archery, just get a hold of us and we'll get you connected up.
Yeah, man. Hey, Roy, I really appreciate it. Thanks a whole lot.
Yeah, we got in a few things that kind of completely off topic, but hey, each one's different. That's why you listen to the end.
We went several directions. I hope somebody learned something. I'm not sure what, but I hope somebody learned something.
Well, my name is Roy Canterbury, and I've been your host here on Archery Talk 101 with David Schneider as our special, exciting guest on here. I'm not in that. I don't know how to do that.
I don't know what I was doing. Big goofy.
Yeah. Well, stay tuned for the next one. It's going to be another great